Hello everyone and welcome to the Future Forum by BMW Welt. My name is Martin and I'm really glad you're joining us for this live stream from our studio here at the Future Forum at BMW Welt in Munich, Germany. Now, the Future Forum is a platform that invites visionaries and experts from different backgrounds and industries to really discuss the future topics and promote an open dialogue with the audience. And this week we travel the globe for BMW Group's Sustainable Manufacturing Week, and we discuss topics like how to create ecologically sustainable value in manufacturing, green energy, social responsibility, and the circular economy. Now, BMW Group wants to be the most sustainable premium manufacturer for individual mobility. Wow. But what does it really mean? I mean, sustainability is such a broad term. It is based on three interconnected pillars: environmental, economic, and social. And now we want to focus on the social aspect. And in today's connected world, we all know we face completely new social challenges. And that makes it even more important for global companies such as BMW Group to recognize and embrace their social responsibility. And producing a vehicle with little or even no CO2 emissions is really important. We all know that. But equally important is caring for society and for the people that work in that company. And that's what we want to talk about in this session. And I'm really excited because this session will span 3 continents. We will go to South Africa, to Mexico, and we're here at headquarters in Munich, Germany. And we will talk to really experienced people. And we, of course, want you to participate in today's session. So please do send us your questions. And we have time reserved at the end of the session to answer as many of your questions as possible. So let me start by introducing today's panel, and I'll start with Milena Piggy, who's sitting right next to me. Hi, Milena.
Hi, Martin.
Now, you joined BMW Group in 1998, first as a spokesperson for corporate communications in Italy, and then in 2004 you moved to this beautiful city of Munich to take care of steering and managing corporate communications of BMW Group subsidiaries around the globe. And then since January 2013, you're head of social responsibility for the whole BMW Group. Yeah. Really a lot of experience that comes with this position, and we will go into this in a second. So good to have you here. Okay. And then I will go to South Africa and say hello to Mbasa Kepe. He started at BMW South Africa in 1998 in the after-sales technical department, and then worked in many different departments, from marketing to sales to corporate planning. And he's now head of government affairs and communication, among other things. He's in charge of BMW's CSR activities in South Africa. Mbasa, how are you? Very good. Good to have you. Good you could join us today. And then we'll go to Mexico, and I say hello to Hola and ¿Cómo estás? Carlos Gutierrez. Hello, Carlos. Buenas tardes. Yes, it's morning for you, Carlos. You've been with BMW since 1996, and you were part of the project team for the site selection and implementation of a BMW production plant in Mexico in 2012. And in 2015, he became the head of government and external affairs for BMW Group Mexico and the BMW Group plant in San Luis Potosi. And in this role, he is now the spokesperson on political issues, environmental regulations, and corporate social responsibility. So welcome once again, Carlos. Good to have you with us. So, everyone, let's dive right into it. Milena, I always like to level the playing field for our audience to just know what we're talking about. CSR is such a complex term. Now, the BMW Group operates 31 production and assembly facilities worldwide and is active in 140 countries. So a really diverse landscape that we have here. So how do you manage a global CSR strategy? How do you create and then measure the impact that this strategy has?
Yeah, you're right. The BMW Group is a global company, operate in different countries, and what we can offer is, well, we say, think global, act local. It's important to provide the colleagues in the market with a framework, I would say some guidance, how the BMW Group perceives corporate social responsibility. But at the end of the day, they should really look at the social challenges that they face in their communities and together with local partner finds the most appropriate solutions. To be impactful, sure, we have to work to invest in corporate social responsibility activities for a long term, and even then to define some indicators to see if our engagement is really rentable. For example, we normally measure our engagement considering the number of people, beneficiaries of through our activities.
And speaking of engaging local partners, and this is not something that is especially new, because in 1972, Mbasa, that was a year before I was born, the first plant outside of Germany was opened near Pretoria in South Africa. So tell us, with this vast experience, how do you implement BMW's CSR strategy locally? And Milena just mentioned this local partnership is so important. And how has CSR really changed the way you're working in South Africa and specifically at your plant?
Thank you very much, Martin, for the opportunity. I must say that we have been at this for a number of years, for many years, and we've got a lot of experience here in South Africa on the CSI activities. One of the things that we've done over years, is to make sure that whatever we do, whatever activities we engage on, have an impact in society, because that is critical. As a developing country, we seek to find those opportunities that would have the greatest impact on the communities around which we operate. The second issue is that we look at issues of sustainability, because one of the things that we have seen over years is that, this whole topic of CSR has evolved, from not just doing donations to getting involved in activities that will be sustainable over time. If I may just give you an example, recently BMW signed an MOU with the South African government as well as the German government to assist with the fight against COVID-19 in this country. So one of the things we as BMW wanted to do was to make sure that we assist with the fight of the pandemic, but whatever structures we're setting up in those communities, are sustainable beyond COVID-19. So I'm happy to say that, after COVID-19, when it comes to an end, those structures will be converted into normal hospital wards. So that talks to the issue of sustainability. One of the things that we also strive to do is to make sure that when we do engage in these activities, we look at our own competencies. If I may also relay another story with regards to COVID-19, one of the things we did with COVID-19 was to provide Red Cross, one of the NGOs in this country, with vehicles that we build in this country on a loan basis so that they can reach those underdeveloped areas in South Africa. So we look at issues of impact, sustainability, we look at our own competencies, and we also strengthen the issues of collaboration, because these activities will not be successful until you have engaged the communities, you understand the needs of the communities, they participate in the process of developing these activities. So it's basically four topics: impact, sustainability, our own competencies, as well as collaborations with communities as well as government in certain instances.
And speaking of impact, you just mentioned the hospital, and I know that you brought some pictures that we can see. Pictures sometimes say more than words, and maybe we can take a look at these pictures and you can give us a little commentary so we can actually see some of the projects that you're working on.
Yes. So one of the things we did, I mean, we signed this MOU with the German government as well as the South African government to capacitate hospitals in one of the areas here in South Africa. One of the things we did was to basically build structures, basically provide beds, as well as provide PPEs. So recently, on the 6th of May, we basically handed over the biggest structure we've built to one of the hospitals of 150 beds. And I'm happy to inform the audience that and last weekend I was speaking to the CEO of the hospital, who informed me that they are currently using that facility for COVID-19 patients, because currently in South Africa, the infection rate has grown exponentially. So these facilities have come in handy to assist those communities in those areas. And recently, the German health minister visited South Africa, and we took him to one of the sites that we have been involved with for the past 20 years as BMW. It's a clinic based in one of the townships in South Africa. So where we showed him what we have done to show the minister as well that the funds that have been provided by the German government have been used fruitfully in South Africa. So those are the key things that I wanted to talk about. That we looked at impact, sustainability, and so far we've been very successful.
And we're also just seeing the school examples, what you're doing in terms of education. So let's go to Mexico, Carlos. In 2019, you began operations in San Luis Potosí. And let me ask you, has then really being a new production facility helped you in establishing a CSI strategy as part of your new work culture then at this plant? And are you already seeing impact that you're creating as sort of a consequence of that strategy?
Yeah, this is really important question because we started operations here in Mexico in 2019, but we started the CSR activities before. It was we started activities here in 2016 with some education programs. We found some really important partners here locally, local partners who are promoting and supporting the education in the children and young people. And we are now working with this since 2016, 3 years before of the start of operations, having a very good results because we believe that education is the key for the social development here. And we found a lot of opportunities and good partners to develop programs that support the young people. We are now, for example, we have 4 partners to promote education. And we are promoting, for example, environmental protections, sustainability concepts, and also English language. And now we are supporting uh, students with high skills, but really bad conditions, economic conditions. They are coming from small communities to the city to continue the studies, and we are supporting them and these institutions to allow them to be part of these education programs.
Carlos,
We found a lot. Sorry.
sorry. And you also brought some pictures. I didn't want to interrupt you. I just wanted to tell the audience we do have some pictures. Maybe you can also take a look at them and you can give us a lot of commentary.
Yeah, yes, this is a part of one event that we had with Colonia Juvenil. Colonia Juvenil is the name of a local institution supporting students from elementary to high school. And we have regular conversation, regular meetings with the children, with the young students, to let them know about the opportunities if they are following the programs. For example, in this case, we invited a colleague, a woman here, working here with us, an engineer, to talk with the children, with the students about the opportunities to follow an engineer career, for example. And we have this really direct communication. We are also working in some programs to provide water, clean water to small communities. We visited a lot of small communities around the plant that needs clean water, and we are working a care for water program, and we had a very good we have a very good results because we are promoting the use of the filters, and also to have a clean water. Also, we have a program with another institution that is Club de Niños and Niñas, and means a children's club. We are providing safe spaces for children who are really in vulnerable situation because the parents are working and they are alone after the school or before the school. And we are providing these spaces together with a local institution to promote activities and protect them because they are really, really in vulnerable situation. And we are avoiding to that some groups or some risk situations for them. So in general, we are working with four institutions promoting the education. I think it's a very good experience. We are now in a very good way, and the idea is to extend our programs to another communities here near of San Luis Potosi area or near of our plant.
Wow, thank you. Really impressive, Milena.
I would like to add something that all the projects that we saw, we have our colleagues supporting these projects. And for me, it's important to consider corporate social responsibility of a company that has much more an effect if you have the support, the engagement on the associates. And I have to say that I'm really impressed to see how many colleagues they would like to help. I saw this last year during the COVID and still now. And then it's really amazing to see that more and more people, more and more colleagues would be really to work for the community where they live, where they work. And this is something that I'm really proud of being part of this big family.
And it's really amazing to learn how you started this even before the plant opened. So let me ask you, I mean, these are all good news. You showed how you have an impact locally in the communities, but at the same time, of course, you have to find a balance between business and the social benefits. So be honest, what were the challenges? What were the difficulties that you had to overcome? Both Carlos and Basa. Carlos, maybe you want to start.
Yes, it's we need to be honest. We have a lot of requests, a lot of opportunities to support the community, but we need to be selective. We need to prepare a long-term projects, having a concrete results, and we need we are now working in a strategy how we can participate in different projects, but always having a clear target, what we need to do. For example, the image and reputation of BMW here in Mexico is really high. The expectation of the people, of the community is really high also. So the idea is to be in that way, having, protecting and involving our plant in a really, really, projects with concrete results. The main challenge now, we are not, we have a lot of needs here in Mexico, talking about education, but we can start with part. We are also working with another groups, another companies here locally in order to extend our ideas about education promotion. So the best challenge, the main challenge now, how we can engage more and more partners here in order to extend our ideas about education.
Mm-hmm. Mbasa, now Carlos just mentioned you have to be selective and you have to have concrete results. Can you share that experience?
Yes, I agree with Carlos. I mean, one of the things about the BMW brand, even here in South Africa, is very strong, you know. So we are seen as an innovative company, the company that has been leading a number of initiatives, both in the social sphere, even in the legislative sphere, you know. So there's a lot of pressure, you know, that comes from communities because of our strong brand. And as a result, we get a lot of requests from communities requesting help from BMW. And unfortunately, in most instances, we were unable to help, you know, because we tend to focus more on the core issues that BMW is striving to promote, things like education. In South Africa, in particular, we tend to focus more on science, technology, mathematics, education, you know, to make sure that we are able to close the skills gap that we have in this country. So there's a lot of requests that we have to deal with. Secondly, in South Africa, because of the economic status, you know, there's a great need, you know, the unemployment rate is high. So what normally happens is that communities want to get involved in the projects economically. That means that they want to benefit from the projects when we're building them up, you know. So community engagement, stakeholder engagement is one of the biggest challenge in South Africa. The other aspect, if projects are linked to government, you know, you have to contend with government bureaucracy, you know, because certain things take time to be processed in that sphere, you know. So I would say there are three issues from our side: is the need. Secondly, the issue of community engagement. Thirdly, the issue of engagement with other stakeholders such as government, you know, which can be daunting. You know, when we're doing the hospital project, you know, I've spent many hours with communities explaining the benefit of the project to them and BMW's approach. You know, why we seek to take the long-term route, you know. So we spend a lot of time on those community engagement to make sure that when we start setting up the structures, there is a buy-in from the community so that we don't experience hiccups when we proceed with the projects we are engaged in.
Thank you, Mbasa. Now, Milena, really, really interesting, exciting. We heard challenging projects. You have to be selective. There are always more projects than you can actually realize. So, what are your lessons that you learned from these different global locations, and do you share them with other locations so they can benefit from these learnings?
Yes, of course. I see also my role is like to mediate or to bring together. I will the one who create the network. And yes, what I learned in the last year is that less is more. Sometimes you have to say, no, I'm sorry, I'm not in the position to support the project. The one thing. And the second is that really colleagues, it's important for this role also to be really to have the passion because if you are passionate for this topic, you can also inspire other people. And this is what my colleagues do with me. They inspire me. That's why I learn a lot from them, and I just bring also this expertise or these projects. I will bring a project from a country to the other and then bring the people together because we can learn from each other.
That's wonderful, and a lot of inspiration we already heard. And Basa, how much of a mindset shift is really implementing CSR? I mean, with your experience and going to the local communities, and you said you have a focus of education, especially the scientific areas. So how much of a mindset shift is it really implementing this?
It is. I mean, it's a huge mindset shift. You know, there are many aspects that you need to take into account. You know, you need to educate. You know, not only your internal stakeholders as well as your external stakeholders. When it comes to your internal stakeholders, you know, they need to be conscious that when they go to different communities, you know, there are cultural aspects that they need to contend with, you know. So if I go and build a school in some underdeveloped area in South Africa, you know, because of our diverse nature in this country, you know, you need to be conscious of the cultural dimension, you know. So we, as internal people, as we go there, we need to be conscious of those things. So there's a lot of education that goes into that. Externally, we need to educate the community as to why we prefer the sustainable methods uh, going forward on this project. Equally, you need to communicate a lot, both with internal and external stakeholders. Let me give you an example. When we undertook the hospital project, one of the things we did, you know, was to make sure that we have weekly meetings with the government as well as the community stakeholders, so as to keep them abreast of the changes, because we didn't want to have miscommunications about the developments and all other things. But I think that one of the greatest incentives in this country in particular, I would say, is the issue of incentives, you know, because communities, the majority of communities where we set up these structures, schools or hospitals, are underdeveloped communities, you know. So one of the things they want, you know, is some economic benefit as we set up these structures, you know. So incentives also plays a critical role in ensuring that the structures or whatever projects we're setting up, you know, is successful, you know. So it's an integrated approach. It requires a lot of time, passion, you know, and consideration and multifaceted issues.
I can imagine. Now, Carlos, we just heard once again from Mombasa, think global, act local. The local aspect is so important. So share with us the local conditions and requirements that determine your implementation specifically in Mexico and in San Luis Potosi.
Yes, the first, we have a very good organization internally because we invited a lot of people from different technologies inside the plant to be part of these projects in order to invite them to be mentors or volunteers in the programs. This is the first step. Second, we are in a permanent contact with the stakeholders, relevant institutions here dedicated to education, to environmental protection, or social development. So we are now in the process to complete our strategy and create a solid structure to review the projects that we have and also to consider new ones, but always keeping our capacities. So what it means that at this moment we have a kind of reviewing process internally, which are our next steps to consolidate the CSR activities here. Because, as I said at the beginning, all the projects must to be permanent, long term, with results. The idea is to have a concrete results after our participation in the project in order to measure the impact in the community. So that is our current status, but we are now really happy and excited because the attitude and also the participation of our colleagues here in Mexico is really high. All the people want to participate, all the people want to do something for the community. But we need to put order, we need to organize. And also Milen is helping us a lot because the idea is to have this structure in order to support a lot of people, but we need to have this organization. Well, that is and we are now promoting externally how is BMW, because we are not only the best company car in the world, producing lovely cars, premium processes, the more sustainable plant. We are a very good neighbors. We are promoters of the development, and that is the image that we need to maintain in our communities.
Absolutely. And Milena, this cannot be done alone. You mentioned it before. We heard about the collaborations. You need partners for this, right?
Yeah, correct. We need partners. We need to cooperate with them. We need also, first of all, identify the social challenges, and then together with partner, develop projects, activities that really help to solve these social challenges. Alone, we cannot do anything. We need a strong partner. We need, let's say, community work with different partners from the civil society, as Baza said, also from the politics, from the private sector, from education, so that we together can achieve much more. And for sure, the support of our associates is extremely important.
And there's so much happening already that I'm blown away by it, but time is flying. So we need to sort of wrap it up with our discussion. But as a last question, let me ask you, I mean, there's so many things that you already did, but what is your vision, Mbasa and Carlos? What are the next steps? Give us your vision for CSR. Carlos, do you want to start?
Basa.
I don't mind. Carlos, go ahead.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yes, our vision is to have a proper, to be a promoter of sustainability, education, and social development in a really concrete, with a really concrete strategy, a vision, a mission of this. We are adopting, of course, our corporate guidelines, but we are acting locally. We are now trying to implement our guidelines, the experience that we have worldwide here locally. And the idea is to implement this in a proper way, considering the local conditions. That is our vision, to have a concrete and solid strategy.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Carlos. Mbasa, what's your vision?
On our side, we want to continue being involved in sustainable projects, particularly in the field of education. In the past 18 months, we have been sidetracked by COVID involvement, but our intention is to go back to our focus area of education, because that's the biggest challenge in this country of skills development, So we want to play our part in developing that skill base so that they could be of help to this country economically. So that's our vision, to be involved in those sustainable educational projects going forward.
Thank you, Mbasa. Milena, what's your vision?
I have to say, and in my role, my vision is to strengthen, to foster this community of responsible leaders within our company, responsible leaders like Baza, like Carlos, because we need more and more such people in our company that they can also make a contribution for the society.
All right. Thank you at this point for your insights and sharing your experiences, Carlos and Mbasa. We will now conclude the discussion at this point. And for all of you watching us from Facebook, please now click on the link in the comments section that will take us to our Q&A that will start right now. So, let's go to the questions from our audience. Mel, do we have any questions from the audience? Melanie, are you there?
Hello, everyone. I'm here. Thank you so much, Martin. And hola, and hello to Mexico and South Africa. So good to hear your stories. Hello. So we have a lot of questions, to be honest, and I will start. Martin, I will hand it out to you. I will hand out the question, and then you can forward it to the guests, if that would be okay with you. So the first question is, do you see specific CSR challenges or opportunities that are related to being a car manufacturer compared to other industries in your country?
Yes, I think that's interesting for Carlos as well as for Mbasa. Who wants to start? Carlos, do you want to tackle that first?
Yes, BMW is famous here. The reputation of BMW is to build the best cars in the world. But also, as I said before, we are now with a challenge to be part of the community supporting the development. So we are now moving in that way, producing the best cars, having the best people, and having the best community. So the idea is to invite, to include the relevant stakeholders, or relevant associates, important people, to create something more here, to be really a solid and an example here in Mexico, as not only as an automotive manufacturer, is as a company.
Mbasa, and you also spoke about how you actually used locally produced vehicles to go out to the communities, so that's a great advantage. Is that one of the examples where you see an impact being a car manufacturer in that area?
Definitely, definitely. I mean, we get a lot of requests from communities, for us to provide them with vehicles that they could use for a limited period of time to do their projects. So because of the strength of our brand in this country, we tend to get a lot of those requests from communities. In some instances, we are able to help where the requests are aligned to our focus area. In this case, I mean, we gave the cars to the Red Cross for a period of time to assist in underdeveloped area because they were responding to COVID-19. But in some instances, we are unable to help, because the need, as indicated earlier on, is much greater. But certainly, there are challenges in being a motor manufacturer in this country. And the other thing I wanted to add is that the motor manufacturing sector in South Africa is quite big. It constitutes about 30% of manufacturing in this country. So they tend to have an influential role, that comes also with expectations that we should contribute more in social activities.
All right, thank you, Mel. Let's go to the next question.
Of course. So the next question would be, what is the selection process for the projects at the sites?
Very interesting
one.
question. Yes,
Yep.
absolutely. And we talked about this before. Carlos, you shared how you have to be very selective, and also Mbasa, you said you had so many more requests than you can actually fulfill. So, tell us a little bit more about the selection process, Mbasa.
From our side, I think we have got key focus areas. The biggest one is education. So any projects that are aligned to that focus area, we look at them and evaluate them. The second issue we would look at is the impact. How impactful will those projects be in those communities? So that's the second thing we do, and we tend to focus on STEM education, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So we tend to select projects that would help us to satisfy that need. So though broadly speaking, that's the criteria. It should be mainly be in education, unless something radical has happened like COVID-19. We also looked at other issues like gender-based issues in this country, but mainly it is education.
Carlos, is that similar to your
Yes.
selection process?
Yes, here in Mexico, we created a committee between some colleagues, and we have mentors. We invited the plant management circle to be part of this group. When we receive a request, an invitation to participate in certain projects, we discuss this project, and we need to consider if it's part of our general strategy, focusing education, sustainability, environmental protection, or social development. So we need to review budget, we need to review how many people we need to involve, which are the people who are requesting this support, the institution. We do due diligence also. We have a process here locally in order to review the projects and then to select or not. But anyway, if we found, for example, one project that we can participate, we can invite another stakeholders who can support this. The idea is to have the proper attention of the project and support the community. Not maybe BMW can do everything, but we can invite another people, another institution to do this project in case that we are not able to do that.
And that's wonderful. Once again, a really strong focus on partnerships and collaborations. Mel, do we have any other questions?
We have indeed. I think we have time for 2 or 3 more. And this one is for Milena, I think. How has CSR evolved at the company? What was one of the first CSR projects initiated at BMW?
Oh, the question is not easy because as I joined this responsibility in 2013. I have to say that education was always a very important pillar of our corporate social responsibility. There is another area that for us is extremely important is the topic of promoting diversity, promoting intercultural dialogue. Why? Because as you learned, as we are a global company with a multicultural workforce, and for us it's very important to promote this kind of intercultural dialogue. And this is also in this regard, we have partnership with a UN organization that we have been running for 10 years. This year we celebrated the 10th anniversary, and we want really to promote this intercultural understanding and dialogue, not only within the company, but also in the society. This is another very important area of focus of our engagement.
All right, Mel, let's take one more, maybe even 2 more. We have about 4 minutes left.
Okay, fast. Embasa and Carlos, what kind of CSR activities are you planning in the next years?
All right.
Is there something you could share with us?
Very concrete question.
The community is very...
They should continue the path.
Shall I start?
Yes.
Yeah, from our side, I mean, we definitely are going to be heavily involved in education. We have made, in any case, announcements in the past publicly that we will be capacitating schools in communities. That's the area that we are definitely going to go back to because of what I've explained earlier on, and that will be the main primary focus, but for the rest of the year, it will primarily be still COVID-19, then education, going forward, yeah, that's our focus areas.
Carlos, what's happening in Mexico?
Okay, I have two points. The COVID-19 situation. We are fighting now worldwide about this disease. We are, as BMW here in Mexico, supporting to the health authorities, to institutions providing medical items, etc. But we are considering now the education after COVID because the world changed. And here in Mexico, all the children and young people are in home having not opportunities to interact. And we don't know how will be the environment after the COVID. For sure different. And we are now reviewing how we can support this process after the COVID. We hope that this pandemic ends really soon, but we need to do something with a new normality. So education will be part of this, and also environmental and protection, and also to promote sustainable concepts here. Urban mobility, environmental protection, efficient use of the energy, and also natural resources. That is another field that we are now considering for the following years.
All right, Mel, I don't want to stop. One quick last question.
Okay, no pressure. Okay, how do you involve BMW associates in your projects, and how much involvement in percent do they take?
Quite a difficult
That's maybe
question.
not that. Yeah. Is there a rough estimation?
From my side, can I go first? I mean, I really don't have the percentage, but what I can say is that in our COVID-19 activities, that we have seen greater participation from our colleagues who were very keen to be part of the projects. They were involved in the distributing of PPEs to communities and hospitals. They were involved in a number of activities, and they are still going to be involved in future activities, especially in the area of COVID-19. And I must say that there's been a sharp increase in that participation in the past 16 months, and I hope that it will continue to increase going forward.
Carlos, do you want to add to that?
Yes, for sure. Here in Mexico, we have a really positive impact internally with our colleagues, because every time that we are promoting a project to participate, we have a call through our corporate communication colleagues. They are doing a call, and we are receiving a lot of requests to be part of these projects. At the moment, we found that at least 150 colleagues here in the plant are participating in different projects. The idea, we have now around 3,000 workers, employees here in our plant. Maybe the 10% must be part of the corporate social responsibility. But the idea is, depending the project, we are doing the call, and we put requirements and what kind of skills we need, depending. Not, for example, if we want to do a webinar or event with the technical schools, we are inviting experts, people from our technologies to be part, to share with the students about experience, about acknowledgement. So that is our idea. At the moment, I can tell you that we have at least 100 people participated in different projects. But the idea is to increase this.
Milena, and you wanted to add something.
I would like to add that BMW Group Associates, they not only support the company's activities, but they also have their own social activities, and that's why we also every year we give an award to the engagement of associates for their social engagement. Even they are very engaged on a long term, and they can do that during also after their working time, during the weekend. There are different kind of engagement of our associates, and it's a very good news for me, this.
So there's so much going on. Thank you so much for these questions. Thank you, Carlos and Mbasa, for sharing your experiences. Unfortunately, we are out of time for this Q&A at this point. But of course, we will continue our Sustainable Manufacturing Week tomorrow with the next event. So let me invite you to our session on sustainable manufacturing tomorrow at 4 p.m. That's the next event here at the Future Forum. And if you want to stay up to date, please do subscribe to our Future Forum newsletter. Then we always get the latest event and always know what's happening here at the Future Forum. Now, let me once again say thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Mbasa. Thank you, Milena.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us today. Have a great rest of the day. Thanks to the team making all of this possible. And thank you, the audience, for joining us today. So have a great day. Stay healthy, stay safe, and goodbye. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Muchas gracias.